Are you ready to perform at your highest potential? Thank you for joining this GP Strategies webinar, where we'll explore best practices and innovative insights to help you and your organization improve performance.
Welcome. This is Brian Mikowski from GP Strategies. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about driving SuccessFactors adoption by learning in the flow of work. I'd like to introduce myself. I am the Business Transformation Solutions Manager for GP Strategies and have been in the industry for over 20 years, helping enterprises launch large IT applications, including SuccessFactors and many HCM solutions. I'm being joined by Chintan Patel, who is the Associate Director of Partnerships and Alliances at WHATFIX, which is a digital adoption platform provider. Chintan, thanks for joining us today, and both of us are going to be presenting. I'll be starting off talking a little bit about the overview of SuccessFactors and HR technology needs and how things are changing in the industry. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction to digital adoption platforms and talk a little bit about learning in the flow of work, which is a concept that many of us have probably heard about lately, as post-pandemic especially. And then we'll share with you some of our keys to successful user adoption, especially when it comes to implementing SuccessFactors and using digital adoption platforms to increase adoption of HCM solutions. And then I'll turn it over to Chintan, who is going to take us through a live demonstration of the WHATFIX digital adoption platform on top of the SuccessFactors human capital management technology. So let's talk a little bit about what's driving some of the changes in the HCM space. And we'll start with some recent statistics about some of the battles that HR are facing when it comes to implementing HR technology. What's interesting on this particular slide is the 42% of HR leaders cited that employee experience was a key to driving their HR technology decisions. But if you look at the left side, 82% of those responding to this particular survey said that they're struggling with employee adoption of their HR technologies. And there's probably many reasons for that. We'll get into talking about some of those in just a few minutes here. So really poor employee adoption is a key reason for failure of HR transformation projects. And we want to talk a little bit about how digital adoption platforms today can help increase employee adoption and smooth the transition to create a more robust employee experience. In the past, most corporate employees touched probably about 5 to 10 applications in a day on average. And today, post-pandemic especially, employees are touching anywhere from 10 to 15 different applications a day. And each of those applications has different needs, different business processes, different flows that they're supposed to be aware of, which creates a huge challenge for organizations that are implementing technologies like HCM. So changes in the workforce demographics and technologies now have end users really demanding that training and help be real-time, contextual, and interactive in the flow of their work. So the way people consume knowledge is really changing compared to 10, even 20 years ago. Part of this is because of consumer technologies. If you look at the web portals that you use on a daily basis in your personal lives, as an example, they are shaping this change by guiding end users each step of the way through their user experience on many of these consumer websites. I saw a recent headline in the news the other day, and it said digital technologies are lighting up the future of e-commerce. And I thought to myself, boy, you could really fill in the blank, that last word, with pretty much anything. Digital technologies are lighting up the future of sales. Digital technologies are lighting up the future of buying a car and banking and grocery shopping and just meeting with people in general. So this really is a part of the reason that when you come back into the workforce and you're looking at your daily activities, especially working remote and working from home, the way that you're consuming knowledge and expecting to consume knowledge has really changed And part of that is being driven by the consumer technologies as well, and also many of the demographics and the age groups and the younger workforce and a lot of other variables as well. And I think many of us would probably agree to that. If you look at the HR space and the human capital technology needs in the HR space, specifically, there are 4 factors that are evolving the way training and support are offered. The first is probably something that's not new to many of you in the HCM space, and that's the fact that cloud offerings and the quarterly updates that come along with them are really creating the need to inform end users more often and more frequently. So the days of us doing a single go live where we train everybody the month before go live and then we're done and you may not touch them again for 6 months or another year until there's an update, those days are long gone. So the cloud has driven us to an area where information needs to be delivered more frequently. Changes need to be delivered to the workforce more frequently. And that's so true, especially in the HCM space. Number 2, employee workforce disruptions create risk more so now than ever before. If you look at the higher absenteeisms, more employee turnover, these are new employees coming into the workforce. They have to upskill quickly to be able to fill in for missing coworkers. These risks are inherent, especially during and post-pandemic, right? There's been global business disruption, and that's created a lot of high demand, especially in the HR and the HCM workspace. Number 3, there's been a shifting responsibility to managers and employees to be able to self-serve themselves, right? So if you look at the HR and the HCM space, one of the prime areas that we focus on when it comes to training is self-service, right? Managers now have to do more. Employees now have to do more, whether it's benefits, whether it's payroll, whether it's changing managers, changing job profiles, changing jobs in and of itself. So there's more responsibility being put on these managers and employees to use the technology in a more of a self-service model, especially in the HCM space. And fourth, there's also a transition to contract and contingent workers. So if you look at the way the workforce dynamics are changing, many organizations are moving towards a contract or a more flexible workforce. And many times those are the first to go, first to come back types of onboarding needs that are driving requirements that are pretty much every day, every month. Instead of doing a quarterly training event, we have to be able to support these workers as they come into the workforce, as they leave the workforce when it comes to HR. So again, we can see here that HR needs are evolving, and we have to be able to keep up with those needs from a training and development, learning and development aspect. So enter the term digital adoption, right? We've talked about digital adoption platforms. I've used the word a few times here. And you can read some of these interesting statistics from some recent LinkedIn workplace learning reports about some of the challenges that executives are struggling with and how digital adoption can alleviate some of these challenges. Traditional approaches pretty much leave employees forgetting or really never learning new processes or tasks in the HCM platform. So we have to be able to migrate from traditional forms of learning to new forms of learning. Many employees are forced to spend time, looking for help information in dispersed systems, various portals that your organizations have, even your learning management system, or through FAQs that are stored on your SharePoint site, as an example. But yet, interestingly enough, in the top right corner, 68% of the employees prefer to learn while they're working. But yet, organizations are still struggling to get them the information they need, whether it be process-based or task-based, right inside the system when the need is the greatest to be able to learn those new processes and those new tasks. So digital adoption and tools like WHATFIX are now shaping the way for us to be able to provide that real-time support inside of the applications. So I've used the term learning in the flow of work. Many of you may have heard this word. It could be a new term for you. But really, what does it mean? We use it in conjunction with digital adoption platforms. And in essence, learning in the flow of work provides easy access, bite-sized chunks of information that's really company specific and role specific at the moment of need inside of the application. And what's interesting is when you hear the term at the moment of need, for those of you that are in the L&D space and maybe have been in the L&D space for a while, you recall 10, 20 years ago, the 5 moments of need by Conrad Gottfredson and Bob Mosier. And those 5 moments of need are even more important today than they were 15, 20 years ago, right? Bob and Conrad talked about people needing information when there's something that's new that they're launching, right? That was the first moment of need. When they have to apply something on the job, they need training or information. When they have to solve a problem, they need training or information. When things change, they might need more training or information. And when they want to learn more, right? So those are really the 5 moments of need. And what's happening today in the workplace, for all the various reasons that we just talked about, is these 5 moments of need are looking for a way or a technology to help solidify the use of information inside of IT applications. So I just wanted to tie those two together because I learned first about the 5 moments of need probably 15 years ago. And while I still use those in practice, many of the IT projects that we work on oftentimes forget at least 1 or 2 or sometimes 3 or 4 of those moments of need and how you're going to address those with the audiences that you're trying to train. Next, I'd like to talk briefly about 4 keys to success in our years of experience deploying SuccessFactors and HCM technologies. We find these 4 elements to be critical in the success of increasing end user adoption. And many of these are not new to you, but the first is change in communications. A robust OCM plan and strategy is important. We've been talking about number 2 for a long time now, blended learning, the ability to offer virtual classrooms, e-learning, on-demand training, job aids, things like that. But number 3 might be a little new, right? We changed the word here to learning in the flow of work. It used to be called performance support. But the concept is after you deliver formal training prior to a go live, there is still a very important need to offer elements for end users to learn in the flow of their work, especially with large scale business transformations that are wrapped around an IT application. And number 4, obviously sustainment. And 3 and 4 really go together. If you do 3 well, 4 is going to be easier, right? To be able to sustain post go live. How do you keep the momentum going? How do you train new workers or contingent workers coming into the HR space, new managers and new employees that are coming into the HCM technologies, and offering a digital adoption platform with the capabilities of learning in the flow of work are going to be critical to that sustainment model as well. So enter digital adoption platforms and WHATFIX. So why did GP Strategies partner with WHATFIX? There's a multitude of reasons. The platform offers contextualized and personalized capabilities within the IT application. It's interactive, it's real time. You can provide company specific information at the moment of need. There's some very cool automation capabilities built into the digital adoption platform. I don't want to steal Chintan's thunder, and I won't go through all of these items in detail, but in the blue box here, you see some of the features of the actual WHATFIX platform, the ability to offer guided tours that contain walkthroughs or flows of tasks in the system, smart tips to help people fill out forms and information. There's a task manager built into the system, a self-help, and even beacons that we can call attention to new features of the product from a change management and communication standpoint. So I'll let Chintan cover that. What I did want to address is why did GP Strategies choose WHATFIX as a partner? So first and foremost, we love the robust features that support learning in the flow of work. As I mentioned, some of them here, and you'll see in a minute live. They have blended formats that can also be published outside of WHATFIX to support your traditional blended forms of learning for instructor-led delivery, virtual delivery, as well as e-learning. And in fact, they have a real extensible solution across the multitude of IT applications that are out there, including web, desktop, and mobile support. This particular screen shows an example of the depth and breadth of the WHATFIX platform so that the learners can get a consistent look and feel across those many web, desktop, and mobile apps. So what's interesting about the WHATFIX digital adoption platform is it's not a tool that you just need to use for your ERP application, as an example. We used to see a lot of these digital adoption tools only in the ERP space and dedicated specifically to solutions like SAP, Oracle, or Infor. And today, with a tool like WHATFIX and the digital adoption capabilities, you can now extend that capability across all of your IT applications, including your learning management systems, your human capital management products like SuccessFactors, and even your IT support tools and help desk tools as well. So we're not limited any longer to just focusing on ERP. We have the ability to extend that experience and keep it consistent across desktop, mobile, as well as web-based applications. So with that, enough said, I'm going to turn it over to Chintan from WHATFIX, and he's going to take us through a quick look at WHATFIX sitting on top of SAP SuccessFactors. So Chintan, I'm going to hand control over to you and go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian, and hello, everyone. Greetings. Really excited to present the next part of the session where we'll deep dive on a live demo, WHATFIX running on SuccessFactors. So really excited about that. As I go ahead and share my screen, team, I hope you're able to see the SuccessFactors demo instance. Few exciting, background, information. The first and the foremost is for the next 15 minutes, the entire demo that you will see from my end is live. Nothing is recorded. We're not leveraging any videos or static form of content. It's all dynamic. I already have WHATFIX deployed on top of my browser extension. And you'd see all the interactions, the widgets, the step-by-step learning. It is all powered by WHATFIX. The other thing is all the content that you see on top is easily built, and it can be owned and managed by partners like GP Strategies as well as the business teams. Very little dependency on IT. So that's a big caveat that we wanted to share. With simplicity, with ease of use, now you can embrace a digital adoption system and bring it inside your enterprise without really having a dependency on IT, whether they will manage it, whether they will own the content. So that's a really plus point, because now enterprises can go live in spans of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, on top of their systems. So, all right, let's get into our demo. So now, as you see, I have my SuccessFactors demo already there. So what I'll do is I'll take you through the entire life cycle of a learner. Let's just say a user comes on the system for the first time. How does he or she interact with the system? The ongoing training look like? And once the learner is already there on the system, trained and acclimatized, how do we address the change management? Because these systems are constantly evolving. So now let's get into the first use case. And as I log into my SuccessFactor, what I'm doing is I'm replicating a new user onboarding. As you can see, instead of a user now interacting with a blank screen, I am onboarded with a rich welcome pop-up. This is where you can embed videos, slideshows, and multi-format, just so that you can provide a lot more context. And then there's a call to action where you provide an onboarding overview. So this is where the moment user clicks on start the tour, you'd see a series of balloon tips start appearing on top of the SuccessFactors instance. And this is where you are giving a bird's eye view to the learner when they are new to the system. Again, the premise is, as Brian alluded to in the presentation, timely at the moment of need, bite-sized information, which is contextual to the user. So you can have these onboardings customized depending on the user cohorts, as well as the different location that they are in within SuccessFactor. And as you can see, once the users and learners have completed the onboarding experience, we let them know that they've completed the product tour. And then again, a sense of continuation. You can provide additional information that they can or have to go through it. So that's a quick take on onboarding. Now, as you can see, once the learner is in the system, he or she will see a series of widgets. Think about them as ignition points, which consists of information that the user accesses in a proactive or reactive way. So let me take you through both. The first one that I'll take you through is a task list. Think about this as a mini learning management system. Again, we do not want to disrupt the existing learning that is out there. We just want to complement. We want to accentuate how the learning happens. So now when the users and learners are in the system, we can have a task list where there is sequential tasks available depending on what or where they are. And then all the learners need to do is go and click on that specific task, and you see a series of tooltips get triggered. And again, while they are in the system, you can handhold the user and have them complete a specific journey. So in this case, the users can be a manager, they can be an employee, or what have you. And as they go and complete the series of learnings, they can also monitor it in real time. So now, just for this demonstration, I'm not going to go and change the language of my SuccessFactors. I just got it changed. But for the demonstration, want to highlight that as the learners are completing these tasks in real time, they would see the task list getting updated. So now the folder had 3 tasks. You see the first task is completed, and then they can go and proceed to the next one. As you can see, it's not just step-by-step learning, but we also have the ability to integrate links. So if there are existing knowledge assets residing in your knowledge base, we can bring them in contextually within SuccessFactors so that now the users can have all that learning right from the application. Very frictionless. Not just that, we can also embrace your existing videos. So if you have all these learning content that is hosted in your shared drives, your SharePoints, your LMSs, your knowledge bases, we can pull all of these learning assets in and again provide a single gateway, a single way to access learning right within the application in a very frictionless way. So that's how this task list really helps all the learners complete the mandatory learning in a much more contextual way. So moving ahead, once the users have gone through the learning, what happens if they're stuck, right? What happens if there are changes in business processes and they need on-demand help? So we have seen typically they would reach out to support desk, help desk, and that's where the enterprises have a ton of basic L1 support queries. And it really eats up to the bottom line. Where we come in is provide a self-help widget, right? Think about this as a library of help, a repository of help that's always available to the users 24/7, 365. This is on demand. This is contextual based on who the user is. Again, depending on the persona, everyone sees a very curated self-help widget. And again, within the help, you have folders where you can segment the content. It can have application to all generic content, including videos, step-by-step learning guides, links to documentation, even best practices that you can add right within this. And talking about contextuality, right now we are on the home page, so users and learners see all kind of help. But if I, as a user, were to go to a specific module within SuccessFactors, I am now in the objective one, you see the help is more curated. It is more pertaining towards the specific module that I am in. So again, the idea is not to inundate the user with all kind of help, but just provide a much more rich learning and help experience so that they can find it in a timely way and they can complete it. We have a universal keyword search. So no matter where the users are, they can put specific keywords and you see that all the help will show up. So again, the premise is we want to make the self-help as a one-stop shop for anything pertaining to the learner's need while they are in the system and make it available to them in a frictionless way. So maybe we can just go through one specific learning module, how to create a new objective. You see the series of balloon tips gets ignited. It's very simple. The users just need to follow the step-by-step instructions. So let's just go ahead with this. Now, as I do this, I also wanted to highlight a couple of nuanced widgets. First is the smart tips. So as you can see, there is a proactive tooltip that is highlighting what is the weightage percentage. As the managers are calculating the weightages for these objectives, or the employees are themselves, rating their objective weightages. You can nudge behavior with these proactive smart tips. Again, you can set it up as per the requirements, and then you just have the learners complete all the necessary things with the step-by-step guides. So again, just wanted to highlight that you can have a step-by-step walkthrough for every single page, or you can have a generic one. And again, the users have all the flexibility. If they want to go back, they've forgotten it, they can just go back and forth, or they can complete it. If they are very well acclimatized, they just wanted help for the first 7 steps, and now they know the way forward, they can just go and cancel it. Again, the automation feature will let the user know that, okay, they close the flow. If they want to just resume it, they can do that, or we are good. Also, talking about ways in which we can improve the user behavior, we saw the proactive way. This is a smart tip. The moment they hover, they get the nudges. But then there's also reactive way. I just put an objective name as test, and I'm going to forward this. But you see there's a red error message that shows, please enter a minimum of 10 characters. So again, WHATFIX not just helps you with proactive nudges, but also with reactive data validation. So this way, only after the user confides by the prerequisite, what the requirement is, does the error message go away. So again, very customizable depending on where and how you want this content. You can go ahead and set it up. So that was just a tip of the iceberg, team. A ton of content to show, but I'm sure a lot of you are also excited to understand how this all content is created. Where is the sausage making factory? So as you go ahead and do that, one change management widget that Brian also alluded to that I wanted to quickly showcase is Beacon. As you can see, there is a performance review module where it shows that 12 reviews are pending. So again, if you want to give nudges, you can have a beacon associated with it so that it gravitates user attention. And now you can highlight a impending to-do that they have to complete in a timely way. So now moving forward to the content creation. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and power my WHATFIX editor. Think about this as a browser extension, that allows you to build all the content. You can build it on any system. Again, as Brian mentioned, we're truly platform agnostic. As you can see, it's asking me what would I want to create, flow, smart tips, beacon. So let's just say we would like to create a flow. Again, we can quickly name the flow, how to create an objective. And then I go and I click on the add step. You see the moment I do this, my entire screen becomes interactive. So this is where WHATFIX is understanding the exposed HTML components that any web application exposes. And without any technical heavy lift, our algorithm pre-populates the description. It also pre-populates a screenshot telling you exactly how the tooltip looks like. You can go and change the positioning of the tooltip as you deem fit. And then all you do is you go ahead and click on add step. That's it. So now what you have to do is follow the user's journey. Now we go ahead on the next screen. I go back to my authoring system, click on add step, and then the next one is I'd want the users to click on add objective. Again, the heavy lifting is automatically done. There's a rich text editor. So within the tooltip, you can add links, you can add images, videos, as well as description. And of course, you can go and change the positioning of the tooltip as well. So then we move forward, and just for the brevity of the demo, I'd like to keep it to a few steps short, and all you have to do is just repeat the same process. I'd also like to highlight that the ongoing maintenance is extremely critical, because as these systems evolve, we want to make sure that content maintenance, editing, adding new steps, removing steps is as easy as creating one. So we have made sure that everything is modular. What it means is all the steps are modular. You can go and edit specific steps. You can reselect the element. You can change the description. Everything happens from the UI, so that not a lot of effort goes into maintaining the content. A very important point that all the L&D teams and change management teams really love. So now as you go ahead and do this, you just save the content. So I've already created one flow that I've created and saved for you. This is how it looks like. Click on objectives, click on add objective. But what magically happens the moment you author these flows is WHATFIX converts them into multi-formats like slideshows. So now for the same step-by-step module, you have a slideshow that is really powered by an HTML, so it is dynamic in nature. So you can disperse it to your knowledge bases as well. So even though the users now might not be in your SuccessFactors, you can host these slideshows in your knowledge base so that they can learn outside the system as well. Again, we want to make sure that we cover all bases. So really powerful. Not just that, there's an article, a video, even a downloadable PDF. So for every step-by-step flow, we have these multi-formats like a downloadable PDF, again, available to you without any additional effort or creation time. Even better, all this content that we saw, the multi-formats, are SCORM and XAPI compliant. What that means is, should you have a learning management system like a SuccessFactor LMS, Cornerstone on Demand, Moodle, Litmus, what have you, we have the ability to host all these multi-formats in your LMS so that now the users can also be trained there. And the teams, the L&D teams now do not need to think a lot and worry about creating all this content. You author the flows and we do the heavy lifting on your behalf, and all this content is available for the users at their discretion. A very custom feature is the moment they click on See Live, not only do they have the option to learn in their LMS, but the same step-by-step guide when they click on See Live is shown on their actual instance, the SuccessFactors application. And now they can perform the same learning in a dynamic way. Think about this as reinforcement learning, really powerful, something that puts WHATFIX very uniquely in the market with these functionalities, and what our learning and development teams really love about the option to have these multi-formats be accessed by the end users. So that team was, in a nutshell, quick overview of the end user experience, the authoring experience, the multi-formats. Lastly, I also wanted to take a few minutes to touch base on analytics. Think about this as a three-legged stool, right? The end user experience, timely help, ease of content creation and maintenance, and now the analytics, which really brings everything together. WHATFIX has a dashboard that comes as a part of the account, which lets you have actionable insights. So all the engagements that the user does with the digital adoption system, we have the engagements surfaced there. How often the users are getting those helps, the pop-ups, how many times they're accessing it. You can go and granularize into different widgets, what the engagement is. So from the self-help widget, how often the users came, served queries on a day-to-day basis. What is the effectiveness of the self-help, right? It's not just the step-by-step flows, but we also have text and videos. So all of that information is available. Task list, we saw the sequential task list. So based on the user names, you can see how many of them have completed the courses, how many have not. And then you can also see that which all are the tasks that they have done or not done. Again, all these insights are extremely rich for the learning teams, for the training teams to understand what the adoption rate is. And lastly, we also help the teams monitor how often the flows were played, where were they played from, what is the completion rate. Again, if they're not completed, what is happening? Are the users navigating away, or they are canceling the flow by closing their tooltip, or they're just not completing it and they're transitioning to someone else? And last but not the least, also feedback. We have the ability to surface not just anecdotal feedback, but also empirical feedback, right? So there are these yes and no's, qualitative, quantitative, everything that we can surface it back. And this really allows the teams to monitor the ongoing health of their HCM system like SuccessFactors and make those timely nudges. And when I say timely nudges, that means if they want to go and create additional content, they just look at what are the unsuccessful search queries, right? And based on that, when the users are searching for help and what is not available, that means that users need that help. So they can go and build that content very specific to the use case that users are searching. So again, team, I hope this gives a good overall picture about how the system is structured. It is sitting on top of your web application, SuccessFactors, or any of the systems. And again, we try to cover it from the demo perspective, end user experience, authoring, as well as the analytics. I hope this was helpful. Again, we just scratched the tip of the iceberg, but happy to continue the dialogue and help you, with custom demo requirements. So hope you enjoyed it. That's it, team, from the demo perspective. And Brian, really appreciate that. Over to you.
Great. Thank you, Chintan, very much for that great demo. And I always love presenting with you because you are so passionate about what you do. It comes across because you have a great tool. And more importantly, when we demo this to customers, you can see that their eyes light up and they're passionate about what they're seeing. I had a customer the other day tell me that they loved the fact that it was an open ecosystem, right? That you can include anything you want in self-help, especially stuff that exists already in the organization, so that you don't have to lose that investment. And then another customer said that that they really appreciated the smart tip capability, especially what you highlighted in your demo is the ability to add important information when filling out forms, especially in the HCM space, because that meant they didn't have to interface with their IT teams, right? Because it took so long, you had to put in a ticket, you had to get things changed. It took days, months, weeks. And instead, they were able to address the need from an L&D perspective immediately by pulling up a smart tip. So great stuff, and thank you very much for that great demo. So Chintan, I know you talked a little bit about some of the multi-format, but maybe you want to address just kind of again an overview, because out of all the customers that we've demoed the product to, this is probably the #1 feature set that most of them very much appreciate, which is not only are you building content inside of WHATFIX on top of SuccessFactors, but you have the ability to take that content and push it out in many different formats. So maybe you want to just chat about this briefly.
Absolutely, Brian. And as you alluded to, everyone, this is a very unique offering from WhatFix, which really helps us, set ourselves as a differentiator in many of the digital adoption systems that are out there in the market, which is basically our ability to have the content be seamlessly exchanged, not just from inside the application to outside, as I showed in the demo via our multi-formats, but also the ability to crawl the existing knowledge bases, the help repositories that enterprises already have in the form of SharePoints and Confluences, and bring all these existing knowledge assets, which are residing in the form of videos, which are residing in the form of SOPs, slide decks, bring it inside the application, so that we do not want to just be a disruptive offering where we come in and we encourage you to scrape and throw away all the existing assets that you've built and embrace something new. No, we want you to not just use the new, but also embrace the existing assets that we already have. And this complementary approach is something really appreciated by our clients, which serves both the needs, right? Have the users access all kinds of information, videos. Some are more attuned to consuming visual stuff, so they can embrace videos, learning in the flow of work, reading something. It all depends on what that microcosm of learning need is. And we want to be there in all shapes and forms to be able to address the user's learning need. So quickly, as the slide shows, all these multi-formats, LMS courses, PDFs, article, videos, this is something that automagically, right? We use the word automagically converts after you create a flow, but at the same time, also embracing the existing knowledge assets and, bring all the outside app content inside the application, making it frictionless, easy to consume right through the application, right? So yeah, Brian, that was a quick gist of our unique differentiator.
Great, thank you, Chintan. So we want to end on some good numbers here for ROI, because we know many of you oftentimes have to go to your leadership and elsewhere in your organization to get support, to get funding, and to socialize the idea of digital adoption platforms and learning in the flow of work throughout the rest of your organization, including IT as well as the business. And so these are numbers that you can expect to see as ROI And these are good areas to focus in on why a digital adoption platform like WHATFIX it can be very beneficial in not only increasing user adoption, but ultimately saving money. So you can look at the aspect of reducing support overhead costs, as Chintan mentioned, right? There's not as many queries to the help desk because people are now self-helping. You're reducing your training development costs because no longer do we have to manage, maintain static documents in Word and in PowerPoint. We're putting all of the content into one tool, and then we're publishing that content out into many different formats. So not only is the creation of that content, but the maintenance and the ongoing maintenance of that content is reduced from a cost standpoint. And then obviously you're looking for increased employee productivity, right? Especially in the HCM space. If you recall that very first statistic that we pulled up on the screen, with the user experience being so important, but end user adoption not really being there in the HCM space, anywhere from 25 to a 37% gain in employee productivity, especially manager self-service, employee self-service, when you're talking about thousands or tens of thousands of global employees, that can be a huge area. So again, wanted to leave you with some information that might be helpful for you to season and socialize DAP and learning in the flow of work across your organization. So with that, I think if you're ready to take the next step, we're ready to take that step with you. So GP Strategies can certainly work with you on not only helping you socialize and get approval and funding for your DAP and learning in the flow of work support, but we obviously have experienced instructional designers and developers. In fact, we've got 10 developers that are certified on the WHATFIX platform to do content development, and can help you migrate content from existing platforms over to a new tool like WHATFIX. And certainly we want to be able to help you create a strategy to build out your performance support needs and really sustain those across the organization. So not only are our developers certified, but we can help train other developers within your organization, within your L&D space, so that they can then train SMEs to use the WHATFIX tool, so that it's just an L&D person and a subject matter expert or business analyst creating training. And it can be a very robust and efficient way to do your work. So we're here when you need help. Certainly we can help you with the strategy, we can help you with implementation, and certainly delivering the solution. GP Strategies is a certified reseller of WHATFIX, so we can put everything on GP paper if we need to, sell you the licenses as well as the support, professional services, and development services if needed. And we can be flexible to work in any way that you need. So with that, again, I wanted to thank everyone for viewing, attending this webinar. My contact information is up on the screen. Happy to help out in any way that we can, and certainly I can pull Chintan into any or all of our conversations as the need arises. Good luck on your learning and development journeys with SuccessFactors, whether you're in the middle of an implementation at the very beginning or you're doing some sustainment. I'm sure there's ways that we can help support. So thank you again for attending, and we wish everyone well and be safe.
This webinar is brought to you by GP Strategies. Together we can create a world where business excellence makes possibilities achievable. You can access more webinars or download additional resources at gpstrategies.com/resource-library.